Hello and welcome to season 2 of Climate Fridays. That's right, it's the best day at the end of your week, brought to you by School Strike for Climate Change and Green Music Australia. My name is Nkechi Anele and I am your host for this evening. But before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge that we here at Climate Fridays acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which we work and live and recognise their continuing connection to land, water and community. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded and this always was and always will be Aboriginal land. Climate Fridays, what is it about? Well, if this is your first time, we are here to energize you to stay active during a pandemic and get you really into the mood to stop fossil fuel expansion and strengthen the solidarity that we have between First Nations, school strikers for climate change and the Australian music scene. Tonight, I'm really excited about this conversation that we're having. We've got a few extra guests, but to kick things off, we've got an amazing artist and MC. Her name is Barkaa, and we're joined with her right now. How's it going?
Hey sis, good.
I'd
How are
love if
you?
you. I am doing well. I'm so ready to hear you perform. So excited for this. Before we start though, I'd love if you could introduce yourself to us and let people know what you're about.
Okay, cool. I'm a proud Maliyamgumpa Barkindji woman. Currently living on Ganangara land, which is in Sydney. Um, I am a First Nations rapper, femc, I'd like to call it. Um,
Love it.
yeah. I guess that's me.
That's
Yeah,
great.
cool.
Let's jump into your track because I'm so excited to hear you do your thing on this lovely Friday.
Yeah, I'm ready to get it. Cool. This first track I'm performing is For My Titters. Yeah. Barkaa. Ah. No. Like sister, where you going? How you doing? Where you been? I ain't seen you on the scene for a couple of weeks. By all means, stay on the road. You gotta do your thing. But please don't sell your soul for a couple of G's. Embrace your black skin and your race within. You're blessed by your blackness and your dark skin kin. Raise strong black kids, throw the strokes in the bin, and you'll be bound to make your white people look at you and grin. Stand strong like your matriarchy. And titter, I'm higher than the stars can reach. You ain't gotta act different when it comes to me. I believe in your sister, take a walk with me. Like Puck said, the sweet of the juice. You're too deadly, sister, go and hang your head in a noose. I know you're sick and tired of dealing with the drugs and abuse. You're too strong, my sister, you know, for deeper the roots. Black woman in a white man's world, it's tough. Being sexualized is all we've learned. That's enough, you're worth more than getting treated like dirt. Show love and give your sisters what they truly deserve. Respect, we're sick and tired of getting treated as slaves. Saying that sex sells, but I got no products for pay. The way you treat your woman has you looking real oppressed. She got her law, you got yours, it's time to have it addressed. If she stands with you, then stand with her. Cause handing down this healing is the bigger picture. Got nothing to do with your sexual preference. This is about a solidarity that's getting questioned. Love. Don't be shamed, sis. Let them know what's up. Pave the way for your baby so they grow up tough. Aim higher even though you grew up in hard knocks, and show your babies what it feels like when you truly in love. And let me tell you something, you ain't defined by your past. They tried to judge me for it. Look, it gets to have the last laugh. Cause I go hard, throwing stones surrounded by glass won't get you nowhere. I ain't even ashamed of my scars. I'm a proud black sister, so don't ever get it twisted. They was aiming at my downfall, but they missed and turned to mix it up. Really quite exquisite, and my sisters keep it busy. We rocking out our culture with our elders, that's our witness. Let me break it down so you get stuck in your head. A black woman raised me, said don't you ever forget. And I ain't bagging out my brothers are warriors. But if you can't respect your peers, don't expect us to honor ya.
Oh my God, Barkaa, you are bringing the fire tonight. That is amazing. Your fancy energy is out of control. That is so sick.
Thank you so much, sis. It feels so good to perform again, and
Yeah, I feel so empowered.
oh, so you should.
That's such a fire track. And I guess it leads on to a question that I have for you. I'd love if you could talk about like your experience in activism and like leading into this greater conversation that we're going to have tonight.
Oh, sure. I'd say my part in activism would just be growing up as a First Nations woman. We see our elders and our elders fighting for rights and paving the way for us. So it's just this generation of just caring for land, caring for rights, caring for, just wanting justice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say oops, blackout. Not gonna turn back on.
That's
Wait,
okay.
babe.
We can
Sorry.
still see you.
Oh, cool. Oh, sorry. Okay, babe.
That's okay.
I got scared. Nah. I'd say that's it in a nutshell. I guess just being a First Nations woman. I guess I feel my obligation to the land and the treatment of people and peace.
Yeah.
Guess it's all what we all want is just peace. Yeah.
Mm. We're getting
Yeah.
a lot of messages in on the live stream. People said 100%, I am blown away. So much power. Yes, we love it. Epic. Yes. So great to see that early on in this conversation. And speaking about taking care of the land, we're joined by Adrian Webster from Fire Sticks, which is a really great organization that's looking at how Indigenous people manage the land, especially in light of the fires that we had at the start of the year. Adrian Webster, welcome to our conversation. Lovely to see you there, brother. We're also joined by Tamika Sadler from Seed Mob. She's a community organizer and absolute badass when it comes to bringing together people in order to achieve their goal of giving First Nations people ownership and say when it comes to the land and country. Thanks. Lovely to have Tamika here too. And if that's not enough, we've actually got 5 people and we're joined by an awesome school striker for climate change, Daisy Millpark as well. Thank you for joining the conversation. So now I'm going to ask the 3 of you separately, starting off with Adrian Webster. What was your first introduction into activism? And also, could you tell us a little bit about Fire Sticks and what you're doing with that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Oh, we're having. I think your mic's maybe needs to come
Sorry,
up a bit. There we go.
can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, well, for me, activism started, way before I came into the picture. Yeah, that was, fought with, you know, all my old people. And yeah, I was just, yeah, like Barker said, we're born into that, you know. We got to carry that fight on to make sure that, yeah, we survive, our culture survives, and yeah, most importantly, yeah, our country, because without that, yeah, we're nothing. So yeah, we need to look after and protect that, and yeah, 100%, it's worth fighting for. So yeah, I guess that's where Fire Sticks yeah, it's really helped me now, because yeah, old people in the past, they've done all the hard work, they've done the fighting, and yeah, like fought for our rights. And now that we've got that and starting to get access to our land and being able to connect and manage it the way it should be, yeah, I feel like that's where my activism, or that's where my role in activism is now. It's not fighting for rights, but it's doing the rights that our old people fought to get, and yeah, fulfilling that.
Yeah, that's really powerful words that you say there, Adrian. Tamika, sadly, you're a community organizer with Seed that have been really busy in the past few weeks with the election and all the campaigns and initiatives that are kicking off. First time speaking to you. So lovely to have you here. Met your amazing sisters who are part of the organization and bringing together a lot of strong voices. What was your first venture into activism, and could you tell us a little bit about the Seed Mob and what's happening with Seed at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me as well, sis. Before I do begin, though, I'd like to acknowledge the country that I'm on today, Gubbi Gubbi and Cubby Cubby, and pay my respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. But I guess my first memory of activism was when I was a young girl. And growing up here on the Sunshine Coast, you know, there's not a lot of protests that happen up this way. And it was a pretty significant protest that happened up here about the blackbirding history in particular that relates to South Sea Islanders up here. And so I remember walking in that march and seeing my aunties and uncles walking together, and, you know, just the strength and resilience and that pride shine through them was instilled within me. And then I guess from there, you know, activism is something that, you know, all Indigenous people carry with them in order to fight for our rights and fight for our people and our ancestors. And, you know, I think about my son and what is his life going to look like, and what rights is he going to have as a young Aboriginal and Torres Strait and South Sea Islander boy as well. But yeah, as I said, I do work for Seed Mob, which is the first Indigenous youth climate change network, where we tackle the fossil fuel industry from exploitation and extraction of fossil fuels to protect country and our communities from this as well. So yeah.
And how's what's been happening at the Seed Mob recently? There's been a new campaign that kicked off at the start of this week called Speak Up for Climate. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Definitely. So Speak Up for Climate is a fundraising initiative that we've just kickstarted this week, and it'll be running for the next 2 weeks. And so pretty much the objective is to sign up to the Speak Up Challenge and challenge yourself to have conversations with community and people that are around you to talk about what climate justice is, and to talk about the issue of climate change, and essentially raise money that will go towards Seed Mob, where we can assist communities on the ground that are fighting against the fossil fuel industry and help protect country.
That's amazing. Daisy Millpark, our school striker for climate change, I'm assuming that you've had to have conversations with older generation about how they're impacting the country. What's it been like for you to be an activist, and how did you get into what you're doing now?
Yeah, hi, thanks for having me. How did I get into activism? I think I've always felt really lucky and privileged to be where I am in Australia. But I've definitely seen and witnessed the impacts of climate change in Australia, and I felt the pain that is felt by so many Australians, you know, in the bushfires, where I saw places I lived in being absolutely destroyed by these horrific fires. And it's scary. Climate change isn't a light issue. It isn't something that's fun to talk about. It's hurting and it's painful for people, and especially for communities who are impacted most, like First Nations communities and people of color. They're especially vulnerable to this. And so I think it's really important, and I think that's where I've become an activist, was that I care so much about this country, and I hate seeing it hurting so much. So I think I just want to fight for my future. You know, this is about lives here. This is not about, it's not even about environment, it's about human life. I think that's really important. Yeah.
How do you start those conversations with older generations who at this point have their voice listened to, whether it's through voting or just being given that space? How have you found ways to have conversations with those people and also fight to have your voice have a platform to speak?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things that I tell older generations is that, you know, this isn't a future thing, climate change. It's not something we're going to see in 200 or 300 years. It's something that's happening right now. And so that the decisions they make, they're a really important part of our society, because the decisions they make will impact us, like their children. So I think that in having these conversations, I remember that, you know, they're being affected too. Everyone is affected by this. And whether or not they believe in the climate justice movement, I know that each person has their own stake in this situation. You know, everyone's being affected. Everyone was affected by the smoke in the summer. You know, hundreds of people are affected with their medical conditions by bushfires and floods. So I think it's important to remember that while you know, Australians can be very divided on this issue, we all have a stake in it and we are all being affected by it. So when having conversations with older people about climate change, it's really important to come to the table with empathy and with respect and with understanding, because without that, we're not going to get anywhere. And by yelling at each other, we can't hear each other.
Yeah, that's really important, really powerful words, Daisy. I'm getting heaps of messages for you. Someone said, go off, Daisy. We're smashing capitalism, yeah or nah. This is awesome. Keep having these discussions. Woo, thanks for having these events. I was really interested, Tamika and Adrian, something that has been brought up is the fires. And of course, SEED is trying to stop fracking from happening in this country. And the results of that are very devastating and do lead to things such as uncontrollable fires. What has been your experience, and what is the change or the way forward that you see for First Nations people and their land?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, up here on Gubbi Gubbi and Cubbi Cubbi country, only at the start of this year we had bushfires in this region, especially in the region that I'm currently living in. And, you know, it was to the point where suburbs had to be evacuated for periods of time. And I mean, it's not just an issue that's happening in our local community, it's an issue that's happening worldwide. It is essentially a global pandemic of climate change. And, you know, the way that the fossil fuel industry keeps exploiting country and exploiting, you know, these things that are contributing to climate change over greed and profit, it's impacting First Nations people first and worst. And then, you know, we're starting to see the later effects that are happening to, you know, regional communities and to big cities as well. So yeah, essentially, you know, SEED is wanting fracking to be banned. But I guess, you know, it's something that these conversations need to be had, and these conversations need to be had in Parliament for, you know, the system to essentially change.
Yeah. Adrian, do you feel like with these fires happening and, of course, the effects of colonizers and the way that we have treated the land, do you feel that it has taken until these really massive fires for people to finally listen to First Nation voices who are saying you're not treating this land the way that is nurturing and the way that can stop fires?
Yes and no. So at the time when the fires were, like, yeah, people wanted to hear about that and yeah, hear our opinion. But yeah, afterwards, like, yeah, that interest was gone again. Like we never really got that much contact, and I guess just mainly because yeah, the damage that not only that fire did to the landscape, but people's mindset. You know,
Mm.
people are just so scared of fire, and yeah, the last thing they want now after that is yeah, more fire. But
Yeah.
that's the big mistake, see. And yes, climate change has a lot to do with our fires, but yeah, what happened this year, last year, and yeah, that is yeah, that's all back on the people. You know, that's neglect and mismanagement of country, and yeah, our people not having the rights to prevent that because that was 100% preventable.
Yeah.
And yeah, it should be prevented. We should have the right to be able to stop that because yeah, our people hold the knowledge to stop that.
If young First Nations people want to be a part of your organization, I know that your website is firesticks.org.au, but how can they, are there other things that happen around around your organization that help inform people of the right way of going about asking about this if they are non-Indigenous or if they're First Nations, is there a community in which they can reach out to learn more about how to treat land?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, probably follow I think it's the National Indigenous Fire Network on Facebook. Yeah, they're always putting up photos and videos, and but annually, yeah, they try and run a workshop, or they're planning to now to do a few every year. Um, but yeah, they're open for everyone. So yeah, if you can keep an eye out for flyers and posters, and yeah, if you can make the time to attend, yeah, that's the ultimate because yeah, you're out on community and yeah, you're not reading about it, you're getting shown it like firsthand. So you'll be in amongst the fire and yeah, learning it and taking all that in.
What has been your experience with Fire Sticks? Uh, how has been a part of this organization? What's the experience been like for you?
Oh, it's mind blowing. Yeah, it's so crazy. I never expected, um, yeah, any of it really. I didn't think it was going to be that like so in depth. Um, but yeah, only because I kind of thought that knowledge was gone. But yeah, it's not because all that knowledge is yeah, it's embedded in our landscape, and as soon as we're open and in tune to that, and we learn how to read it, yeah, we understand then, and yeah, all that knowledge is still there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I guess yeah, learning that, learning my identity, learning me, yeah, learning about my culture. But yeah, most importantly, yeah, learning the landscape and learning about fire and yeah, the
Yeah.
circle that it has. Because yeah, when we heal the country, because yeah, we start healing the people. Yeah, it goes together.
Mm.
Because yeah, as Aboriginal people, yeah, we're just a reflection of our land. That's who we are, and you know, when our landscape's sick, so are we. So is our community. But as soon as we start healing that, all that comes back through in our people and back through our community. And yeah, that's the best part is seeing our community coming strong again.
Um,
And yeah, and then watching the landscape too.
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, sorry, that was my fault. Um, Barkaa, Tamika, and Adrian, you've all said that you, as First Nations people, you're born to this land, and you're also born to activism because this land is colonized. Um, the question that I had for you that I thought was really interesting that Adrian brought up was when you are a part of activism, what is that experience like for First Nation people, especially working with the next generations coming through? How has that affected all of you in in the specific ways to you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
well,
I
for
think,
me, with the fire sticks. Sorry, sis, you go.
sorry, brother, you go, brother.
Yeah, well, with the fire sticks, yeah, all our landscape is in different levels of health at the moment, and A lot of it, majority of it, is not ever going to be healed in our lifetime. So knowing that hurts, but knowing that we're in there doing that work now to set that way forward, and we've got to leave that onto the next generation who have to keep handing it down, because it won't be until, another 6, 7 generations until the land is back to where it should be now. And yeah, that's huge. So the future have a massive role, and so do we in the present. We have to start, setting that way forward, make that right journey for them.
Yeah. Tamika?
Yeah, I definitely agree with, Brother Boy there, what he said. But as well, when you talk about activism and mob being active in our communities, that's something that has been in our bloodline for over thousands of years. And, the world that we're living in today can be super overwhelming for us First Nations mob, being dragged into different campaigns about protecting our rights and protecting our country. And, I think it's so important that us as First Nations mob that are impacted first and worst, it's so important and vital that we look after our health and well-being at the same time, and do acknowledge, that it's not just a fight for us to take on, but it's a fight for our allies as well to step up to the plate and, assist us with the fight that we're going into protecting country and making sure that the next generation, has country that they can inherit and practice their culture in, and not something where, it's just another story that, us eventually old people will talk about. It's something that, these next generation mob will be able to go in and practice and to keep that bloodline going as well.
Yeah, and with Speak Up for Climate, there's going to be 50,000 plus conversations happening across the nation. And hopefully in doing so, reaching out to younger people to get interested in this, and also people who want to learn more and know where they can help. Daisy, do you feel like you are ready to hold on to this push to make sure that we take care of the land?
Yeah, absolutely. I think having especially like these amazing people who I'm with right now, standing alongside us in this fight, it's really empowering and it's really exciting. And I think, the climate justice movement is gaining momentum every single day. And with groups like Seed Mob and with climate organizations like School Strike for Climate, I think we're going to get some stuff done, I think. And especially if, Australia turns up for us and listens to our stories, listens to First Nations stories, listens to people on the front line, listens to people of colour, listens to rural and regional communities. I think if Australian people listen to us, they'll be able to understand how important this is, how important our futures are, and they'll be able to get on board and really fight and win this fight with us.
Thank you so much for that, Daisy. Barkaa, we had a chat earlier, but unfortunately it didn't get recorded. But I remember you talking about your first experience with activism and being on your mum's shoulders. Can I ask you again, what has been the experience of being an activist as a First Nations artist, and also with up and coming generations, and spreading the word and keeping that momentum going?
I guess as as Sis and Braz said, that it is it's you're born into activism, and I have to pass it down to my children. Climate change is not a trend. Listening to First Nations people is not a trend. Caring for the earth is not a trend. And it's vital. And I just as a mother of three, I want to be able to. These changes need to happen now if we want to see our bloodlines keep going, and for them to live a long and healthy life without having to worry about, all the horrible things that can happen due to global warming. And, it's just, it's tiring at times. It can be triggering and exhausting, but, to see people First Nations mob just standing strong, and people standing alongside us is empowering, and it makes us makes you think that, maybe we can bring about change, or, bring it back to what it once was, change it back,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess as me as a First Nations artist is just to be able to express myself in a way that heals me, and inspires my babies to be warriors and matriarchs. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I'd like to say thank you to School Striker for Climate Change, Daisy Millpark, for giving us her time. I'd also like to extend that thank you to Tamika Sandler from Seed Mob, and also encourage everybody to go onto seedmob.org.au to check out what they're doing, as well as speakupforclimate.com.au, where you can donate. They're already hitting over 16,000 after their first week. They're absolute fire, and you'll be helping out Australian Youth Climate Coalition, as well as Seed Mob, to help unify the voice of the public, to put pressure on the government and politicians to put resources into renewable energies. And also Adrian Webster with Fire Sticks, encouraging people to work with First Nations people in Indigenous practices to manage the land in which we are all on and occupy. And to take things out, and speaking of next generation, we are not only joined by Barkaa, but we are joined by her beautiful daughter, Alinta, who are going to fire us up and get us ready for the weekend and keep us energized in this fight against fossil fuels expansion. I'm so excited for you to take this away and bring more fire to this Friday night.
Thank you, sis. I'll just give the beat up. We're working off a Bluetooth speaker in the car, so what's the time? I just got to connect up. Sorry. You want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I am Linta. I am Alinta Jade Whale, and I am a Bakanji kid, and my guys can call me Little Kinji, which means little kid, little children, or Little Barkaa.
Deadly mama. All right. Ready? Wrong beat. This one. See, I've rised against the odds, breaking cycles, stopping drugs, paying respect to who I've lost. See, I'm caught in this position where I have to set it off. I had no choice but to get straight to let fate could do its course. See, I'm trying to be a better one, trying to be a better mum. I ain't stopping till it's said and done and set in stone till I become someone that you'll always see. So you can look up to me, place my footprints in red dirt, but please don't step like me. I'm trying to get things right. I ain't trying to get it twisted, but I'm hopping on the mic just to tell you my lived experience. Raised by a single mother, she taught me to just believe. And if I have a dream, I can be what I want to be. See, let me tell you a little bit about my situation. I grew up in a generation still angry at a nation. See, I'm trying to get my trauma out by doing what I do. I heard sharing is healing, so let's share and show the proof. What's up? I know I can be what I want to be. And if I work hard at it, I'll be where I want to be. I know I can be what I want to be. And if I work hard at it, I'll be where I want to be. See, I'm destined for greatness. Baby girl, you give them chances, just make sure that you take it. And my boys too, when you get it, just make sure that you chase it. This is start line, my baby, here's a record, go break it. Yeah, I'm here to pay you back. I just want to be your mummy. Yeah, I dreamt of this before you're even seeds in my stomach. I prayed to Wanjina and I prayed to Bayami, and use her everything that I ever wanted. See, I just want to teach you strength and that you were strong, and through every situation you can right your wrongs. I just want you to see what you mean to me, and everything about me is about family. This is destined for me. You're destined to dream. You're destined to be whatever you want to be. And while you follow your dreams, I'ma be on your team. Cause that's where mummy is supposed to be. I know I can be what I wanna be. And if I work hard at it, I'll be where I wanna be. I know I can be what I wanna be. And if I work hard at it, I'll be where I wanna be. Love you. Gee, you deadly. Oh, you're cute. Oh. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is some powerful, deadly female energy there. So good. I'm trying not to cry at the moment. I'm holding it together. Barkaa, thank you so much. And little Barkaa, aka Alinta, thank you so much for joining us on that track. Oh, little Kinsey, yeah, that's right. I'm speechless. That is a perfect way to end this beautiful Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. Loved
it was
it so
great.
much. Feel very, very blessed to be able to be here and listening to this amazing music coming from you powerful queens. Thank you so much. And for everyone else, we're going to be back next week with more great music and discussions about climate change for Climate Fridays. Stay deadly, be awesome. Have a great week. Don't know what else to say except we'll see you later. Peace.
Peace. Peace. Peace.